Alright, so today is Friday, Erev Shabbos, and we have an unofficial anniversary. I'm sure you're all aware of that. What's the anniversary, Doctor?
Erev Shabbos?
It's an anniversary today. Anybody knows? You know? You guys don't know? Don't know? 3,329 years ago, we've kept the first Shabbos.
Oh.
Huh? If somebody asks you, you can tell them that. 3,329 years ago. Mazal Tov. Shabbat is more than just than what most people think. I'll tell you the truth. I think the more you think about it, the more you know about it. The more you know about it, the more you think about it, the more amazed you will be by the concept of Shabbat and so on and so forth. And we said it many times before, that the whole concept of freedom in the world stems from the concept of Shabbat. Until that point in history, when you had those city-states, you lived in the city, you were a vessel, you worked. There was no day of chilling out and taking, and says, no, I'm not working today. You worked. If not, you're dead, or just get out of here. Comes Judaism and initiates this concept of freedom by saying, I can work for you 6 days a week, but one day I'm free. I'm a free man. I'm not doing anything. I'm working God. So we all talk about freedom, but I want to talk to you a little bit today about spiritual freedom. Because we know freedom is really, if you're in jail, you're not free. In the army, you're not free, and so on and so forth. But is there such thing at all? Spiritual freedom, and what is the spiritual freedom? And if there is, how do we actually achieve that? How we reach this point? Are we spiritually free? And spiritually free, not necessarily just like, lighting incense and listening to music. I'm not talking about that. Of anything that is of the spirit, of the thinking, and all these processes, the internal processes that happens with you. Are you really free? So that's what we assume as what freedom is. And if you ask most people what freedom is, they will tell you free, removed from any kind of a burden on you. Right? There's no obligation, there's no burden, there's nothing to you, and so on and so forth. And the whole entire world looks for freedom. And in a way also our spirit is no different from that. We also look into, the neshama is looking to become free. A practicing Jew, an observant Jew, knows that for him there's a different meaning of the word, what we call chayut, or what we call freedom. A person, what we refer to as freedom is something that is completely removed from what most people will tell you freedom. As practicing Jews. A person who is makpid on kalake v'chamura, he is careful with all those mitzvot and so on and so forth, right? To a non-observant person, so therefore, let's say you are really an observant Jew and you keep all the mitzvot and you do everything that you need to do. To an outsider that's not aware of that, that would look at you, he would think that you are under tremendous amount of oppression and you're not free to do what you want. And everybody's telling you what to do, and the rabbis control your mind, and the rabbis control your life, and all kind of statements that indicate that the person who is making them is a complete ignorant. Complete. Doesn't understand. Chachamim tell us, Chazal tell us, right, that who is a free man? En lecha ben chorim ela mi sheosek b'Torah, right? Only a person that learns Torah, he becomes free, right? And if you know what all the Torah does is basically defines you the boundaries that you're going to operate, that you're operating in. So, in order for you to do so, to become ultimately, this is crazy. Look what's going on here. Look at this. It's just it went nuts. So, in reality, a person who is a frum Jew, a practicing Jew, is just not only that he's oppressed, and on the contrary, he's free. We all know that lack of boundaries in the world and so on and so forth is a very problematic. Why? Because when you don't have any boundaries, when you don't have any limitations, when you don't have any rules, that becomes a complete disaster in terms of your being. You cannot function without rules. You can't. And a person like this basically goes against what human society is all about. If I feel like doing what I feel like doing, I would create chaos within my society. This is and as a result of that, right, I'll become complete anarchy, and we cannot have a functioning society if we have it. We can't. Society would fall apart. Anyone would tell you that if you give your kid ultimate freedom, does whatever he feels like, it is just as bad as restraining your kid but not allowing him to do anything. In order to have a kid developed and to become a mature, responsible, functioning human being, you need to tell them what is allowed and what is not allowed, what is good and what is bad, and then you let them run with it. And the older the kid gets, the more space you have to give him to grow. And that's a mistake that many parents make. They treat their 25-year-old like a 2-year-old. And then you wonder why the kid is so immature. Why the kid is so immature? We think that freedom is the ability to do whatever you want. That's no different than being an animal. Animal does whatever it wants. Does an animal give an account to anybody as far, let's say, I don't know, a deer or a bear wants to go somewhere, right? Does it give an account or to another deer or say, excuse me, I'm going there, can you please cover up for me? Is there such thing at all? There's no such thing like that. So, what's the difference between me and an animal when I do whatever I want without any regards to anybody around me? Absolutely not. There's no difference. And therefore, we need to understand, it's a very crucial point. Everybody's talking about freedom of choice, freedom of choice. Freedom of choice, to choose, I'm able to choose. I can do whatever I want. That's not what b'chira is all about. B'chira, choosing, is I'm able to choose between good and bad. Doing what I want is not choosing. Doing what I want is not choosing. When HaKadosh Baruch Hu gave us the b'chira chofshit, he was referring to you could do good and you could do bad. You have to choose. You have to make up your mind. You have to choose. To be a person that does not choose, sits down and lets everybody choose for him, sits down and lets everybody dictate him what to do, That's not the level that the human being should be involved with. That's not something you should be doing. To be able to choose between good and bad, that is the ultimate, that's what bchira chofshit, freedom of choice, that's what it is. So therefore, what most people think it's my right, my God-given right to do what I want, they are completely wrong. And here comes the Torah. It tells you, fine, your choice is to learn between good and bad, and I'm going to show you how to do so. This is good, this is bad. This is good, this is bad. And then, I'm telling you, go do good. Because if you're going to do bad, there will be certain consequences as a result of that. As much as if I, for example, decided, like they did riots, right? Which I don't understand those people. I really don't. I understand certain crowds have frustration about their ongoing situation and so on and so forth, socio-economics, situation and so on. Fine, I understand that. However, we all have a choice to break that cycle. Okay, we all have an ability to break it. If, for example, remember, I was just something that shocked me. Anybody, you probably were kids. Some of them probably weren't even born. During the riots of Rodney King in 1989, I think, right? Something like that, 89, 90, whatever it was. So a lot of people, especially in LA, went up to the streets and they first of all, what they do is looting, which I don't understand that. You go to the store, you break into the store that serves you all the time, and then you steal from that store. What that store owner, why do you punish him for him actually selling your stuff? Which I absolutely don't understand. So they go in and they loot and they burn and they destroy until today, which is 30 years ago. In LA, there's a whole strip in South LA. There's a strip of deserted. There's a whole deserted area. It used to be a mall, but it was all burnt, and it was never rebuilt. Never rebuilt. So who lost from that? You want to do whatever you want, right? Okay, fine. So now you suffer. Now you suffer. Now you don't have stores there anymore. And now you're going to complain that you don't have stores. It's nobody's fault but yours. So the Torah comes, and the Torah tells you, this is good, this is bad. Not to restrict you, to be able to give you the freedom to choose. Choosing. Animal does not choose. There's no choice by an animal. But yet the animal does what it wants. And when we choose, and we have to choose between good and bad. Here comes the Torah and tells you the ultimate choosing between good and bad to your spiritual experience, so on and so forth, will be Shabbat. Which is the utmost unnatural thing to do. You can't do this, don't do this, don't put fire. And you say, I understand. This is good for me. That's a part of choosing that. That's a matter of the responsibility that we all have to face as Shemitah. For example, we need to have a certain social justice. There's room for entrepreneuring and capitalism in Judaism, but there's also a matter of social, not justice, should I say. Social justice is a wrong thing to say. Social justice is, to my very insignificant opinion, is a concept that was developed by losers on one hand, and lazy people, and on the other hand, those who would like to manipulate the weak one. I want to see all those big talkers, all those big liberals who say, oh, social justice and so on and so forth. How about you give up a little bit of the money that you are making? If you make $1 million for a lecture or $3 million for a lecture, I mean, how much money do you really need? Why would you give $2 million to donate it to poor kids or whatever? No, that you won't do. You all into your pocket. I want social justice. And you would do, but don't touch me for that. That's not the way of Torah. Here comes the Torah, tells you, listen, there's going to be Shemitah. Then you need to understand. You're going to let go. There's going to be Yovel. And in the Yovel, you have to take care of, the Shemitah, you have to take care of. And what does it mean? Ki amuch achicha itcha. What does it say? When your brother is going to get all crushed like this, you have to go and help him. What does it mean that you have to go and help him? You know what it means that you have to go and help him? You cannot tell him, listen, okay, I know you need help. Go to this guy, he will help you a lot. Why are you sending him to this guy? Why would you help him? Why would you go out of your way and help him? Where's your responsibility? Now, why is all of that? Because most of us are immersed in a spiritual prison when we are all confined by our desires, by what we were programmed as, and we're not free to do what we want. So maybe in the body we are all free, quote unquote, but in the spirit we're not. When they put Rabbi Akiva in jail, yes, his body was in jail, his spirit was free. When they put Maharam Rutenburg in jail, his body was in jail, his spirit was free. When they put the Balatanya and so on, and so many other, the bodies were in jail, the spirit was free. But our bodies are free and the spirit is captive. I'll give you an example. That's what we were talking before. Sephardic, we all follow the psak of Marana Bet Yosef, Rav Yosef Karo. So for example, let's take the issue of Bet Yosef meat. Bet Yosef meat means that the lungs should be clean from any adhesions and so on and so forth, mainly the lungs and other things that he has there, and therefore that for us is considered to be kasher. Now, don't get confused, and that's a mistake, because I'm not going to enter this because of the hysterical thing. Don't get confused between Chalak Bet Yosef, Glad kosher, or kasher. According to Marana Bet Yosef, anything else that is not kosher. That's why you have to be very careful about the way which hashgacha you take. Right? Certain geometric features that people have K on them are not necessarily kosher. I see certain things, I say, okay, that's good. That I know not to take. So a Sephardi person should eat, let's say, that kind of, or consume this kind of meat if you would like to eat meat. I would recommend you all to become vegan, much better for you. Eat meat on Shabbat if you want, but nevertheless, that's what you need to eat. On the other hand, there is, for example, a minhag, which is a tradition by... Okay. And bayat. So, Ashkenazi, for example, they won't eat gabrach. Some Ashkenazi will not eat gabrachs in Pesach. Gabrachs is any kind of matzah that came in contact with water or liquid and so on and so forth. Or they won't eat rice, which is a minhag. Because push comes to shove. If there's nothing else, they'll eat rice. It's not a problem. Rice is not chametz. Everybody will tell you that. It's just a minhag that they don't do. So, but Ashkenazi would never go to a Sephardi house on Pesach and eat rice, even though he knows it's a minhag. And Ashkenazi that keeps gabrach never will go Pesach to any house, whether Sephardi or Ashkenazi, that they serve matzah balls. Knei dalach. How can you go to Pesach without knei dalach? Because it's gabrachs. But why would a Sephardi go and will have a problem with eating Bet Yosef meat? And if there's no Bet Yosef meat, say, guess what? I'm not eating. Why do you have to say, well, Ashkenazi is just as good. Or as long as it's kosher, it's good for me. Or I can't, you just don't eat it. Why? I'll tell you why. A, you did not learn appropriately those halachot to appreciate them and to understand what it is about. A, so therefore ignorance. B, you are captive with your desire. It's more important for you to eat meat, like a wilde chaya, like an animal, eat meat. What I want is meat. than to be and say, Ani Sfaradi, I'm sorry, I don't eat this, I'm sorry. And if there is a Sudat mitzvah, okay, so you go to a person like Rabbi Ovadia Yosef, and Rabbi Yosef under certain circumstances and so on and so forth, that's allowed. But other than that, no, not allowed. Okay, what's the big deal like Chalav Israel? Such resistance to Chalav Israel. You don't understand all these things. Such resistance to glycerin. You don't understand all these things seal you spiritually. But why are you being sealed spiritually? Glycerin, if I have glycerin here, let's argue say that's glycerin, let's say this is pork or whatever it is. By having it here, it's not going to make me sealed spiritually, only by consuming it. So therefore, my desire is what makes me spiritually slave. I am a slave to myself. And it's a prison that you're never going to come out. It's a maze that you keep on carving without a way out. You are imprisoning yourself. And here comes Shabbat and tells us, guys, things are different. You're different. You can choose. Your Kedusha counts because you're knowing to separate kosher, not kosher, pure, not pure, Jewish people, not Jewish people, Israel, outside of Israel, and so on and so forth. Knowing all the time, I can go on the track. Because if I haven't defined my right or my left, or I define only right, or I define only left, I would never be able to go straight on my path. I'm for sure going to get lost in my way. So I need all the time, like sensors of a plane, always define, always measure, right, wrong, left, right, wrong, and so on and so forth, in order for me to go straight. And that's what we do. We measure the chumrah that so-called a person takes upon himself to be machmir kalal kevachamura, to pay attention to all details. It's not because of OCD or Jewish fanaticism, and like everybody else would like to say. On the contrary, it's because of great awareness to be able to continue forward. And you see in your own eyes that those who did not put those indicators all the time, right and left, right and left, right and left, right, wrong, all the time, were not able to pursue further into the future, and they are not here today. And you see in your own eyes in America, especially for those Jews who decided to take the railing of the roads, they're not them, nor their children in front of your eyes, you see that they are lost. They are lost because they became slaves to their own desires. And that's true if you want to see a beautiful girl and you want to marry her, but you remember she's not Jewish. It's like, I can marry her. I mean, nothing wrong with her. She's a wonderful, wonderful person. She is a great individual. But I cannot marry her. She is not Jewish. I'm sorry. Needless to say, my responsibility to my people, the betrayal of such a thing that you do, because you're basically giving a certain portion of the Jewish nation a death sentence. So therefore, what are you going to do? You're going to outsmart her now, let's convert her, quote unquote. The whole point of conversion is not for you to marry her, it's for her to keep Torah mitzvot. If you are not keeping that, why would she keep it? You're only doing so you're not using religion to break away from your desires. You're using that to become further immersed in your desires. And that's why such conversions to begin with are wrong halachically. We try to prevent people from doing that because it ultimately is wrong for you. The Torah tells us this all the time. The Torah says, if you're going to marry a non-Jewish girl, eventually your kids will go after her. Your kids will not be Jewish. The Torah tells you that. So therefore the Torah is the ultimate. That's why we say, En lecha ben chorim ela mi she'asuk b'Torah. And that's why when you learn Torah, you have to learn it deep. You have to learn it in order to better refine yourself. And then eventually, the Torah, you become so good. The Torah becomes a part of you. All your actions are geared towards that, and then you become the ultimate free person. Freedom of the spirit is much more powerful, greater, and important than the spirit of the body. Shabbat Shalom.